And I found out that a lot of times we think some children are not intelligent enough, whereas it's because we're not teaching them the way they can learn. What would I do if that was my son? He won't see that phone for like a week. It's when we as parents begin to live in fear and trepidation of our children, we're in trouble. You don't raise your child for your home only, you raise your child for the society. Welcome everyone to Chatting with the Experts TV show, hosted by me, Paula Okone, in which I speak with women from Africa and the Caribbean who continue living in Africa and the Caribbean, and those like me who are now in the diaspora. Every week I put on an episode in which I showcase these, I want to say, impressive women. And at the end of the show, I am inspired, and I know my listeners and viewers are also inspired, empowered, and educated from what these women talk about, what they share with us. I mean, I've been a podcaster. I was a podcaster since 2012, but only got the courage to start off in 2014. And now 2024, I am the host of a TV show. So I don't want to just say I'm honored. I want to say I am blessed. Well, my guest today is Mrs. Adeyinka Adefokbe, and I'm hoping I'm saying it right. And I had a good laugh over the pronunciation. And she and I met in December of 2023, and we just hit it off. And I thought, what better way to share this person than to invite her over to be a guest on my show. And when she said yes, I was thrilled. I'll tell you a little bit about her, and then I'll let her continue, because her bio was so impressive. I was like, where do I start? So I'll tell you a little bit about her. She's laughing. She runs a research, I have to read this because it's so long. She runs a research and learning consultancy outfitted and designed to harness resources and resource persons from the social and education sectors. She is passionate about inculcating life-changing values into young people and believes in nurturing the total man and woman, the future of the child, and by extension, the nation. You see why I like her? She's also a Bible-believing Christian. And when I say also, that means I am a Bible-believing Christian, and is married and blessed with 2 wonderful children. I've met one of them, and he impressed me so much that when I met him and I saw her with him, I was like, who's this young lady? He said, that's my mom. And that's how we met. Right. So welcome to Chatting with the Experts. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
It's a pleasure.
Oh boy, she is delightful. I really have enjoyed speaking with her off camera. And now we talk about, we have so many things to talk about.
So many things.
So, as I said, I just told you a little bit about her. Why don't you continue where I left off?
Okay. So where learning and education is concerned, I began to delve into children learning ability. And I found out that a lot of times we think some children are not intelligent enough, whereas it's because we're not teaching them the way they can learn. And I don't think anything I'm saying is new, but I found out that if I tried to understand the child and how he learns, or if I try to understand me and how I learned, then I might get a glimpse into the heart of the child and how he learns, so that I can teach him in the way that he will learn and he will excel. So the first thing I learned, because I think my first job after I graduated was as a teacher, and I didn't want to teach, but then I got into this school and I fell in love with the children. And so I stayed on for as long as I could, and I found out that I could teach them and help them to excel, and they did. And because they did,
I stayed back. And that was how that passion was drawn. And I found I could talk to them. I could teach them, not just classroom things, but, life in general, and get them to be better human beings, people that I'd love to know 30, 40 years after. So that was how that passion grew. And then when I talk about the social aspect, I believe in community development. I've been involved in community development. That's maybe my area of, I would say, governance, delved into a bit of governance. Not that I've been a governor or anything, but I realize that when you engage with people in a community, you can find out a lot about them, and you can help them see who they are, what they can do. And maybe talk to government. If you know any government, anybody, tell them that, this community needs this and that. That's just skirting around it. It's a lot deeper than that. But
I know.
That's the surface. And I've had that opportunity to engage with people from different communities in my area in Nigeria.
Love it. When I met you and I kept coming back to you, you said something to me and you touched on it, that you love children and you love helping children. You said especially, finding out about the different ways that they can learn, because that also helps you to understand the way you learn. Can you expand on that? Because I look back to like my early years growing up, where, we went through an academic system where it was book. If you did not know book, if you didn't pass, it was like the end of the world. But there were so many children who could not excel in that sort of environment. And I think that's part of what you're touching on.
Yeah. Okay, so going to school, I found maths very difficult. And that was because I think when I got into Form 1, I went to school in the days of Form 1 to 5.
Me too. So you're talking to someone who understands.
So, getting into Form 1, we were in for modern maths. That's what we did.
I remember that.
And I could flow with it because it was verbal, kind of. I could read it and understand it and apply whatever formula. And then I think when I got into Form 3, it was changed to traditional maths, and I could just never navigate that. And I couldn't understand it. I tried very hard, went to class, tried to work maths, 5 sums a day and everything, and it just didn't work. Then I had children, and nobody was doing modern maths anymore. Everybody was now doing traditional maths, even though they won't say it that way. Numeracy, arithmetic, whatever. And I thought to myself that I had to teach my children not to be afraid of maths like I was, and to find a way around maths in such a way, learn maths and enjoy it and master it. So I did everything possible. I got colored pencils, I drew diagrams, we used cookies, we bought pizza, we cut it into 4, 8, 10, 8 part of it, left some of it, drew it, danced around it, did whatever, just to make sure that they understood it and that they loved maths and would never be afraid of maths. And then I just transferred that to other children. I was an English teacher, and I taught in a Lagos State school where we had children from everywhere, warders, barracks, on the streets, behind the streets, boys' quarters, wherever. We had a mixed pot
children
of children.
Yes.
And they had to pass English. So I had to teach them to read, write, understand English. And then I found out that if they understood English properly, very well, they will do well in maths, in geography, in history, in every other subject. So for me, it was like a project. It was a challenge to ensure that these young children understood English properly. So I had 2 slogans in my head, not to them. Never call them dullard.
Yes.
Never call, even if they didn't pass, if they got 0, they were not dullards. So I never called them dullards. And then I taught them never to laugh at each other.
Oh my God.
If anybody,
where were you when I was going to school?
So we had that rule. I had my rule, they had their rule. And so I never called them dullard. and they were never supposed to laugh at each other in class. It was up to me to correct a child that was wrong. So we had fun in the class. They had to speak English to me. And they had to speak English to me properly. And so we had this thing of, hello, good morning, how are you? I'm fine, and you too? I'm well. How is your day? Just go back and forth, and they'd laugh because they found it funny. But I didn't care. We just went on with our usual greeting, and they'll meet me on the way and say, good morning. I'll say, good morning, how are you? Fine. And then we just go on. And we had fun. And they passed.
And they learned.
And they learned.
And those are some of the things that sometimes as teachers, or teachers who weren't aware, who didn't understand, how children, they didn't understand how to educate. They taught, but they didn't educate. Because that's what you did. You made it, you came down to their level. You made it fun. You made it interesting.
I was enjoying myself.
And you were enjoying yourself?
I was having fun. They were having fun. I was having fun. So it wasn't a chore. It wasn't difficult for me. I didn't see it as a job. I went to school excited.
They were too.
And they learned.
And it's interesting you talked about math, because I struggled with math too. And my mom got me a tutor. And she loved math.
Oh.
And that changed my whole perspective. I went on and I did a BSc in mathematics.
Oh, wow.
Because of her.
Her, yeah.
I call her Auntie Vida. She was like, I remember going to her house and she'd be excited. Hello, what did you learn in school? Oh, and I'd be like, you understand? She's like, this is how. And she just broke down the whole principles. When Pythagoras theory, everything she broke down, so that even when I have a friend, a very good friend, every time she thinks, you did mathematics when the both of us struggled together. That's what you did.
Yeah. That's what God helped me to do.
Amen. Yeah. Amen.
So
there's something else we talked about too when we met, wholesome parenting. What do you mean by that?
That's a whole new world. Incidentally, my son and I were watching something on YouTube yesterday about a parent who was suing because their child had gotten so much into playing video games and all of those things. And I got up after a while and walked away, and my son was like, I said, what's the meaning of all of that? You take the phone.
You are still the parent.
You're still the parent. You bought it. You take the console and whatever else and let the child learn. But as I said it, I remember this young parent whose son is always on her phone or somebody else's phone. As soon as he sees you, he wants your phone because he wants to play a game and all of that. And of course, some of those games you have to pay for. And then it comes like, oh, mommy, can I buy? And she says, no, mommy doesn't have money for that. And I'm thinking to myself, like I believe and always say, because they are children, means they still need some form of guardians. They still need you to help them navigate. They still need you to teach them, hold their hands and show them. If you say they're old enough, at what age? 10, 11, 12?
They're still learning.
Like the man who was talking about, he said the frontal lobe is not even developed enough to take certain decisions.
Yes.
So why are we behaving as if these children are old enough? Gosh, they have like 40 more years.
She said 40 more years.
No, because many years ago, a lady gave me a write-up that she had done, and she's an educationist, that you keep learning and your frontal lobe is not fully developed until you are 22 or 23.
That's
so I thought, okay, I can't leave certain decisions to my children because at that time my children were much younger. And so I thought, okay, so wear your trousers well, tighten your belt because you still have
you
have a long way to go. So parents, we need to sit up if we want to save our children's future. Because for me, that is all that it comes down to. Who are you raising? What kind of young man or young woman are you raising? What kind of adults do you want him or her to become? How do you want him to navigate life? You don't raise your child for your home only. You raise your child for the society.
For the society.
Yes. So if I cover mine and say, oh, he can't do with that, oh, he can't do this, I'm in for a huge trouble. 10 years down the line, I used to know somebody whose child, her child's school was just like 5 minutes walk from where she lived. And she had asked me to please tutor her child. And I said, well, sorry, you have to wake up. I'll be on Zoom tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. You should be there. And then she goes, oh, but I will still be sleeping.
The child
The child said to me that, oh, but I'll still be sleeping. Can we move it for 10? I said, no, I have something else to do at 10. If I wake up to be there at 8 a.m., you better be there. And then, children did what she had to do. And then her mother called and said, oh, can't you just make it 9? I said, no, 8 a.m. I'd like to sleep in too, but I have so much to do. 8 a.m. And so 8 a.m. the next day, she got on with the longest face ever, looking totally upset, angry, and wasn't ready to engage. So I said to her, I'm not going to deal with that face. Now you get off that chair, go and wash your face. When you're coming back, you better have a smile on. And you only have 2-3 minutes to do that, because 8:39, we're off this meeting. So she went and came back and said, I need a smile. And she put on a smile. I said, now we can get on with it. And her mother was like, you're hard, you're this, you're that.
She told you that?
Yeah, she did. And then I said to her, I said, okay. She was writing her A-levels exams. I said, when she has done the A-levels, if she does not pass well, then I've been hard and I haven't been kind and I've taught her rubbish. But if she passes, you're in trouble. Mm-hmm. And she did pass. And then she said, oh, thank you, Auntie. Thank you. Now we can all smile. So I learned, like I always say to parents, if you don't handle a child the way the child should be, nobody wants laws. Nobody wants to fall in line. Nobody wants to, like I always say, nobody wants to wash plates. But we have to.
We do.
So after she passed, now we're friends. Now she calls me. Now we chat. Now she's in uni. Now she's like, we're friends. And I said to her mom then that if I had not handled her that way, if I had allowed you to let me handle her the way you wanted, well, maybe we'll be doing A-levels again.
So true. But what's going through my mind is that even the convenience of Zoom now, she didn't have to get up, get in a car, walk. You said 5 minutes from you, so probably walk in the hot sun or the rain. All you had to do was get in front of the camera.
Thank you.
And switch on the computer. Life has its problems.
You can say that again.
Oh boy.
Parenting gets us in a should I say, it can push us into a corner. And I quite understand that parents, mothers, most of the time, your heart breaks when you have to discipline your child. You really don't want to and all of that, but you have to.
The Bible says so too.
Yeah, it's one of those hard decisions you have to take. When my children were growing and I'd scold them and smack them when it was needful, he said, Mommy, body hurts. I said, my heart is breaking too. He said, yeah, and seriously, sometimes my heart would break because we're like, why do I have to? But then I realized that if I don't teach this child never to go down this lane, I don't want rotten tomatoes.
Yes. Because, as you rightfully said, I mean, our children are the future generation. Yeah. And if you are not training them well, then what's the future generation going to be like, Yeah. Ooh. But, I mean, I admire you. You said your heart broke. My mom was strict.
You can say that again. In fact, sometimes I wondered how my mother used to cook, because she didn't used to flinch.
No, my mom didn't flinch. I mean, I never heard her talking about her heart breaking when she had to smack us. So you were nice.
I mean, gosh, she was hard. But she was nice too.
Yeah.
But she didn't spare the rod. Oh, she didn't.
Sparing the rod. These days, they didn't believe it. And still, I mean, a lot of that discipline has gotten us to where we are now.
We are, yes.
And we will be doing our children
a great disservice.
If we, do not. It's not everything that our parents did that was perfect, but the good things from it were, discipline, love and discipline.
Plenty of love.
Plenty of love.
And I don't know, loads and loads of discipline.
Loads of discipline. I was saying to a young man yesterday that, there's certain things in life we don't want to do. Like even when you're younger, when you think, I have to get up, you have to go to school. Sometimes you just didn't want to do it. But now you will say thank you to your parents for the education, because of the difference and how much it has helped you, so that you in turn can inspire and help others and make life okay for yourself and not be a burden to the society.
Yeah. I remember growing up, I was in boarding school, and I was in Form 3, and it seemed as if the spotlight of the school was on all the Form 3 students, and I was just tired. So I think I wrote a letter to my father and said to him that I was tired. I wanted to become a day student. I didn't want to stay in boarding school anymore. And then he asked me the question that I never liked. He said, are others dead?
He said no.
I said no. He said, then you won't die. And that was not the answer I was expecting. Are others dead? I said no. He said, then you won't die.
And that was the end of the conversation.
That was it. That was it. Even I knew not to go back and ask again.
It would have been. Oh boy. Yeah. So those are some of the things we wanted to talk about: love and discipline. But you've covered it,
Yeah.
They go hand
in hand.
Yes. We're not talking about abuse. We're talking about firm love.
Love,
because we care. Love because we sometimes I say to the younger people, you forget that we were young too.
Oh, thank you. And showing love, and I think we get it all mixed up. Some people think that in not scolding your child or smacking your child, because I smacked mine, and we were quite diplomatic about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if it was either 2 or 3 strokes, tell me why it shouldn't be 3. Mm-hmm. If you want 2. You have to tell me why.
Oh, you were good.
I was, but it's like, okay, so you deserve 3 strokes. Plead your cause. Mommy, I don't deserve 3, I deserve 2. Why? Tell me why. If you can't convince me, you get the 3 strokes. Mm-hmm. We debated it. And when I tell people, they used to find it funny, find it funny that I even smacked my children, because I had a lot of friends who didn't believe in smacking their children and said, well, I smacked mine and I have no regrets. Mm-hmm. And I thank God that I did. But I smacked them, letting them know what they had done and why I was going to smack them and why they deserved 3 or 4 strokes. That was my reason. Now you tell me why you don't deserve it. And then it wasn't every time that we were diplomatic about it. Sometimes it was just the extra. Children just do things and just react out of love immediately.
Immediate love.
Immediately. But they got the message, and they're my friends.
They've grown up now. As I say, I know her son. Delightful young man. That's why when I saw him with you, I was like, who is this young lady? He said, my mom. I was like, eh?
So we even when they were growing, we played together. Mm-hmm. We ran round together. I taught them all the tricks I had growing up. I taught them all the games I played growing up. Okay, so maybe in England they'll call it upscotch or whatever. We had our local names for it. We drew it on the ground. We did
Ten?
not tent. I taught them that too.
Okay.
I taught them in Nigeria we called it sui. You threw the pebble and then you didn't step on the house.
Okay.
And,
Vaguely I remember that.
Yeah. And then when I was in school, we used to do Chinese skipping.
Oh, yes.
In, out,
Yes.
over. I taught them all of that. I taught them to stand on one. I mean, we were friends. And I also knew I had to discipline them. So when we were not playing, when we were not working, they knew not to do. I mean, we knew each other. We just knew our boundaries because we could play games. We could run around together. Whenever their friends came to the house to play, they came to play. They didn't come to watch Disney World or anything.
They came to play.
They came to play. So I got footballs. I got, we did everything. We ran around. We played. I played. They played.
Beautiful.
We played. We did every rubbish. I mean, when I say rubbish, we cut leaves, we made collage, we sat outside.
Oh, Yinka, you were a fun mom.
I'd like to think so. But we played and we enjoyed, and I wanted them to enjoy their growing up years of knowing that mommy was there and we could run around together. And if they came back into the house limping and bleeding, they knew what was coming. And we just had fun running around playing. I mean, it was so bad. One day this aunt of mine came and just stood and watched and said, "Your children are your friends." He said, like, you don't have need of any other friend. I said, well, at this stage of their lives, they better be my friend. So if we had to watch Cartoon Network or anything, we all watched together. And, well, we didn't watch Cartoon Networks except on Saturday evening. So,
but they knew that was something to look forward
yeah, I mean, Mondays to Friday,
schoolwork. Bedtime.
Cartoon Network was off the diet.
Would you believe we have been talking for almost 30 minutes?
Are you kidding me?
Wow.
Oh,
wow. But there's something that you told me that you did I forgot to mention, that you co-authored the book.
Yes. Oh, yes. So, well, my friend now, she's a Nollywood star.
Ooh.
So this is for her. When our daughters were turning 13, she came up with this idea of writing a topic in the book. So she gave us topics. So she gave me leeway to write on what I wanted to write. So I wrote on reaching puberty and the attendant issues that came with puberty.
Okay.
Now, I had a daughter, but then I had nephews, and I used to talk a lot with my nephews, and they used to tell me stories about what happened in class with the girls and all of those things, and how they'd laugh at the poor girls who thought they were the best thing after sliced bread, So I wrote on that. It's called Pearls for My Daughter. It's on Amazon for anybody.
I looked at it. Yes,
You looked at it?
I looked at yep, and it's also on Goodreads. I saw it on Goodreads.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
So you're another one of my guests who's co-authored or authored a book, and I like to go buy those books and keep and say,
yeah,
to people,
it's a very good
this
book.
is one of my guests.
I mean, there was another chapter. I didn't write it. Another young man wrote it. And every time I read that portion, I laugh. He was recounting wanting to talk to his father about having a girlfriend.
Okay.
And then he described his dad wearing his bottle thick glasses, and that when he mentioned it to his father, the guy had hiccups immediately. and that he was eating meat. The meat suddenly became too tough for him to bite through. He was like choking, like, what are you talking about?
To me?
To me? That's a generation of our parents who didn't dare broach these issues, these topics with them. But we have to talk to our children.
Absolutely.
About these things. And so that was what he was writing. But that now his son wants to talk about a girl. He said, I better listen.
The difference in generations.
Yes. You know.
I was blessed in that my mom was a midwife, and so she was very open about everything concerning the human.
My mom.
Your mom was a midwife as well.
She was a midwife too.
Oh, look at that.
And she told me lots of stories.
So did my mom.
And made it easy for me.
Made growing up the realization of it. Yeah. So, wow. Look at that. That's why I like you.
You see? Deep calls to deep.
Yes. So, before we wrap up, is there anything else that you'd like to share? Or, this is a coffee talk. But,
Okay, so let me say something that occurred to me yesterday. Parenting. It used to be a lot easier for me to enter my children's room and clean it up myself. It was easy. I knew what I wanted to do. Put this here, put this there, clean, do. But I refused to. I knew that I had to teach them to clean their room. And that would take me like an hour or more because I'd have to sit with them, make them do it, probably have to sweep that room out twice, look in their wardrobe and see that everything is in order. And gosh, it was time consuming. And that is parenting. It is hard. It is difficult, but it is worth it at the end of the day. And I realized no two children are the same. So as parents, we need to find out who that boy is, who that girl is, and flow with who they are so that they can become the best of who God has made them to be.
Amen. Very important, knowing who that child is. Because they are your children doesn't mean that they're both, it's not a cookie cutter. Yeah, they're not the same. Different personalities. And we need to be aware of that. Yeah, I love that as a parting note, especially for younger. My sister says, don't say you're the young people, say the younger people. So especially for the younger people, And one day we'll be grandparents, and so we still need those skills,
So we can help our children.
Yes, absolutely. So if anyone wanted to find out more about your talk with you, is there any way they can find you online? I mean, do you have a website?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn.
Okay, right.
By that name.
Okay.
I'm on Instagram. My Instagram page is probably old and archaic and probably going into extinction because I hardly post I don't know how to navigate. That's whatever. But I am on LinkedIn, and you can learn more about me actually on LinkedIn. I think I'll update my LinkedIn page because I've done so much more than what is there now. And then my name on Instagram, even I have to pinch and go look for where I wrote it to remember. If that thing goes off, I probably won't remember how to bring it up again. So, but I'm on LinkedIn and I am on Facebook, and it's by my name. I don't have any alias. But
okay, all right. Oh wow! I said to you guys that at the end of this episode, you'd have learned something new, or even if you didn't learn something new, you would have expanded your knowledge. You'd have been inspired. You'd have been educated and encouraged. And Adeyinka Adefokwe has not disappointed me in doing that. And for me, if you would like to get in touch with me, you can reach out to me on my website, which is chattingwiththeexperts.com, or I am also on LinkedIn as Paula Okone, or Instagram. I mean, I've been on Instagram for 2 years. Sometimes I can't believe it. And my handle there is at chat_experts_podcast. Okay. And recently I got back on Facebook. Just search for Paula Okone and you'll find me there. Adeyinka, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here.
I am honored that you said yes. Thank you. Thank you.